and I'm the representative of the Hellenic Foundation for Culture in the United Kingdom. On behalf of our president, Mr. Koukis, whom I wholeheartedly thank for his trust, and on behalf of the board members, and specifically Mrs. Feni Hadjiathanasiadou, who honors us with her presence tonight, I welcome you to this special event that we are co-organizing with the Center for Hellenic Studies and Korais Chair Director and great supporter of our foundation, Professor Gonda van Steen. The London branch of the Hellenic Foundation for Culture, which covers the whole UK, reopened around a year ago and has always been Mr. Koukis' vision. During this year, my team and I worked really hard. We succeeded in establishing a great name for our branch. We built strong relationships with very prestigious institutions, and we keep working on these goals in London and other cities of the UK. Also, we created several events with immense impact. We have great plans for the future, and we aim to continue promoting the Greek culture through a variety of events in London and in other cities of the United Kingdom. For this reason, we need your help and your support. We would like to invite sponsors who have love for the arts and our culture to stand by our side and help us grow even bigger. As they say, the sky is the limit. This year, we commemorate the 200th anniversary of Lord Byron's death. This is a very special occasion for me and for all people who come originally from the sacred town of Messolongi. Moreover, I'm delighted that I'm here in London 2 centuries later, and I have the opportunity to organize an event in his memory. Therefore, I'm extremely proud about tonight's event due to the fact that we have 3 parts and a number of honored guests who will address us. I will try to keep it short. So, without further ado, I would like to open the night with the amazing song. It is, in fact, the famous poem of Lord Byron titled The Isles of Greece. It is set to music by composer Stamatis Hadjievstathiou and was sung by the renowned singer Adriana Babali in the album Ελληνικές Φιλέλληνες, which means Greeks and Friends of Greece. I'm honored that they granted me the permission to play their song at this event.
Tell us
And now, dear friends, it is wonderful that we have with us tonight a descendant of Lord Byron VI. I'm delighted to announce that Robin James Byron, 13th Baron Byron, has honored us with his presence. He is a nobleman, a peer, politician, and influencer barrister. Lord Byron, it is an honor to have you with us. I really appreciate your support. Sir, the floor is yours.
Well, no technology involved in the few words that I will have to say. First of all, my thanks, Kyrgyzstan. Thank you very much for the Hellenic Foundation for Culture, for the Greek Embassy, for the King's Hellenic Centre, and everybody who's put on this event and invited me to come and say a few words. But mainly I'm here to listen and learn and enjoy all the other performers, so I'm not going to occupy your time very much. It is, of course, a great honour to bear the name Lord Byron. I'm afraid I must correct Kyrgyzstan. I'm not a direct descendant. You all know Lord Byron's life, I'm sure. And when he died, the title went to a cousin, so I'm a collateral relation. Nevertheless, I do bear the responsibility for the name. And I sometimes worry that people think I'm a bit of a fraud, because if you're in Greece in particular, the Greeks, of course, love Byron and everything about him, but there's only one Lord Byron for them, naturally. It is the Lord Byron. And if I'm introduced as Lord Byron, they look at me thinking, what are you talking about? I mean, how can this possibly be the case? In fact, one time I was having dinner with a client in Athens, and she arrived very late and flustered and said she was very sorry. She was putting her 7-year-old son to bed. And I had a conversation which went something like this. She said, "You'll never guess who I'm having dinner with tonight." And I said, "No." And she said, "Lord Byron." And he looked very puzzled and said, "Oh, wouldn't he be very old by now?" And then he got even more distressed, but he said, no, I remember. We were told he's dead. It's impossible. So, you know, and I think that attitude is absolutely understandable. Nevertheless, it's wonderful that the Greek community, and Greece in particular, does hold the flame for Byron, sometimes in a way, I think, that is lost a little bit in this country. If you talk about Lord Byron, a poet, for many people, a vague recollection that he was one of the Romantic poets. He had a rather adventurous sex life. What else is there known? I can't remember anything else. And I don't think they understand at all the incredible breadth of cultural influence that Byron had, and still has, of course. But he had it, you know, right through the 19th century. Think of, or some of you may remember, the Turner and Byron exhibition at the Tate in the 1990s. Think of many artists in the early 19th century, Delacroix, you know, inspired by Byron. So many writers, something like 40 operas inspired by Byron. A man of huge cultural significance, way beyond the rather narrow little slot that the English sometimes allow him. And an example, the bicentenary of Byron's birth in 1988, I was dragged out of bed very early in the morning to lay a wreath in Hollis Street, which is just off Oxford Street, near John Lewis. And I was amazed to see television cameras, and I thought, the BBC? No, surely that's not possible. And it was actually a Russian television camera. A Russian TV crew had come all over, all the way from Moscow to film this rather modest event. And they were quite shocked that there wasn't more being done in this country for that particular bicentenary. Of course, the Russians know a lot about Byron because of Pushkin, and for them, he's probably, after Shakespeare, the second poet that they really know about. So what are we doing about Byron? Now, I want to mention one thing which we are doing, and which all of you could help a little bit towards. It was over 50 years after Byron's death that people began to wonder why there was no national memorial to him. And a committee was formed under Benjamin Disraeli, the then Prime Minister. They raised money, and a statue was put up in Hyde Park, and the Greek government and the Greek people donated the marble for the plinth. All went well for another 50 years until about 1960, when the Park Lane was widened into a sort of 3-lane motorway. The boundary retreated, and poor old Byron got left in the middle of Park Lane, and an awful lot of people, many people indeed, even those who are interested in Byron, have no idea that the statue's even there. So we thought that the bicentenary of his death this year, it would be the perfect time to raise the money, not only to restore the statue, because unfortunately when it came out of the park, it fell out of any maintenance regime, and so it's not in terribly good condition, and the marble needs restoration as well. But we also want to move it, and we have managed to persuade the Royal Parks to give us a site within Hyde Park, where it was supposed to be always. All we need to do this is to raise a certain amount of money, inevitably. Quite a lot of money, about over £300,000, because it's quite a difficult operation to do it. We have already raised over £100,000, and we've just recently gone live, in fact on Byron's birthday, on Monday of this week, with our fundraising campaign. It's very easy to just go onto the Byron Society website, thebyronssociety.com. You'll find the page devoted to the statue. You'll find a little button to click on, takes you straight to a Just Giving page. You can make a contribution, and you can gift aid it. And I just want to say one thing. Don't think it's not worth making a small contribution because, you know, I can't afford more than 20 quid, you know. We want numbers of people as much as we want amounts of money. Of course, if you're feeling very generous and you want to give a generous sum, that's wonderful. But we need to persuade other institutional donors, particularly the National Lottery Fund, that there is genuine enthusiasm to do this. And I hope there is enthusiasm, and I hope everybody in this room who'd obviously come to this event would be sufficiently enthusiastic just to give a small donation, if necessary, because we want numbers. We want to be able to say to the Lottery Fund, among other institutions, look, there is support for this project all around the world. People are giving small amounts of money, but it's important that, you know, we get some help. So I hope all of you will feel able to do that in the next week or so. Other than that, I'm going to get out of your hair and say again to the organisers, thank you very much for inviting me to say a few words, but I'm really here to listen and learn from others. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my lord. And now we are going to our next slide, and it is with great joy that we will present to you the next video, which is the greetings from the new mayor of Messolongi, Mr. Spyros Diamandopoulos. It shows the unbreakable bond between London and Messolongi. Okay.
Αξιότιμοι κυρίες και κύριοι, συμπληρώνονται 200 χρόνια από το θάνατο του Λόρδου Βύρωνα, ενός προσώπου που σημάδεψε όχι μόνο τη λογοτεχνία, αλλά και την ιστορία της Ελλάδας. Ήταν εδώ, στο Μεσολόγγι, όπου ο Βύρωνας βρήκε τον τελευταίο του προορισμό, αφού ενωμένος με τους Έλληνες αγωνιστές αγωνίστηκε για την ελληνική ανεξαρτησία. Η πόλη μας, το Μουσολόγγι, έγινε σημείο αναφοράς του επαναστατικού αγώνα. Εδώ, ο Λόρδος Βύρωνας βρήκε έμπνευση για τα ποίηματά του και εδώ αφιέρωσε την τελευταία του πνοή επαναστατικός στην ελευθερία. Ήταν ένας φιλέλληνας ποιητής που αφιέρωσε τη ζωή του στην υπεράσπιση της ελευθερίας. Σήμερα επιστρέφουμε στο παρελθόν για να τιμήσουμε τον Λόρδο Βύρωνα. Η προσφορά του στον ελληνικό αγώνα για την ελευθερία μας υπενθυμίζει τη δύναμη της ανθρώπινης θέλησης και της αλληλεγγύης. Σήμερα, με σεβασμό προς τον Λόρδο Βύρωνα και την αφοσίωσή του στις αξίες τιμούμε το παρελθόν μας και εμπνέουμε το μέλλον μας. Ευχαριστούμε για την πρόσκληση να συμμετέχουμε, έστω και από απόσταση, στην εκδήλωση που είναι αφιερωμένη στον Λόρδο Βύρωνα.
And it is with great joy and pride that I present to you my dearest friend and mentor, Professor Gustave Van Steen, Core Chair and Director here at the Center for Hellenic Studies of this prestigious educational institution, King's College London. I'm grateful for her invaluable support. Thank you, Gonda. The floor is yours.
Warm welcome from me, Kyrios και κύριοι, and of course Lord Byron, Your Excellencies, a very warm welcome. My name is Gustave Van Steen, and it's always a pleasure to welcome you to our events. And of course it's always my opportunity to show you the Center for Hellenic Studies newsletter, in which you can read about our past events and more events to come. We have a rather full program for the spring and an even fuller one for the fall. If you find yourself in Greece, in Athens, in the week of May 27, 28, 30th of May, please be in touch because we have some activities there for our alumni as well. But I'm especially pleased that with the hard work of Kyriyaki Mitsu, representative of the Hellenic Foundation for Culture, and her supportive team who's been putting out chairs until the last minute, and so many other contributors, we can bring you this evening, which is the kick-off event in any Byron-related events, as far as I know. And it happens not only to be the bicentenary of Lord Byron's death, but also an event that we could plan in the week of Byron's birthday. But there's also a practical reason for that. We knew that after this month and coming up on April and May, it would be impossible to get our honorable colleague, Professor Roderick Beaton, to find him free for an evening because he will be a very busy man in the Byron year. So I'm very pleased that he is honoring us by giving the keynote speech tonight, and we play on the topic tonight of From London to Missolonghi and Back. His title is From London to Missolonghi and Back in a Barrel of Rum, Byron's Life in Greece. He does not need an introduction, but I will still give a tiny one. He is, of course, the author of many books, books that have featured Greek literature, Greek history, Sepharis, and a whole book devoted to Byron. And if you need a Byron refresher, I very much recommend his Byron's War. He has, of course, accumulated many titles and recognitions, but I want to tell you just what happened in 2023. That's just 1 year. He became a Greek citizen. He was given an honorary doctorate in Patras, and he became an honored member of the Eleftherios Venizelos Foundation. If I've got that right. More is to come, but especially that Greek citizenship really speaks to the imagination. There is an ongoing fight and an ongoing struggle going on for many more of the people who should have it and would like to have it. And I'm very glad you lead the way. It's wonderful to see Greek citizenship going to people as worthy as Professor Roderick Beaton. So without further ado, the floor is his. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everyone, and well, thank you very much, Gonda, for those very kind words of welcome. Welcome, in my case, I have to say, welcome back to King's. It's not only a great honour to be invited to take part in this inaugural event to celebrate, to commemorate 200 years since the death of Lord Byron, but the sixth one, that is. But it's also, of course, personally, always a great pleasure to be asked back to this institution, where I have to say I've spent at least half my life. Μισή ζωή που λέμε στα ελληνικά. So thank you for inviting me back. It's a great pleasure to be here, and also it's a small world. That photograph was taken at the Achillean Palace in Corfu, and I just found myself with the opportunity to acknowledge the photographer, Megaklis Rogakos, who's with us this evening. So it is a small world. George Gordon Byron was born on 22nd January 1788 in a house just off Oxford Street, as the current Lord Byron told us, just round the corner from John Lewis today in Holles Street. And he died in Missolonghi, aged just 36, 200 years ago this year, on 19th of April 1824. In between, Byron led a restless life of travels, celebrity, scandal. He became the most influential and the most read poet of the age, not only in Britain, but as Lord Byron also stressed, and absolutely rightly, all over Europe. And near the end of his life, he gave up all of that to risk his life in a political cause, the cause of freedom for the people of Greece from Ottoman rule. In this brief talk, I'm going to take you through some of the highlights of Byron's extraordinary life journey that took him from London to Missolonghi and back, if not quite literally in a barrel of rum, in a manner that you'll hear. Not long after his first birthday, his mother decamped with her infant son from London. Byron's father was really disappeared from his life almost at the very beginning. From London to her native Aberdeen. And actually, by far the longest period that Byron ever lived at the same address was as a boy from 1791 to 1798 in his mother's house in Aberdeen. And many years later he would write about that, "But I am half a Scot by birth and bred a whole one." It was the unexpected death of a great uncle in 1798, when he was 10, that catapulted the boy, George Gordon, into his new role as the 6th Baron Byron. And along with the title, Byron inherited the partly ruined former monastery in Nottinghamshire that had been the family home of his ancestors for several centuries, Newstead Abbey. And I've put on the slide some lines from his later poem Don Juan, in which he poetically recreates the atmosphere of that ancestral home. Today, Newstead is a place of pilgrimage for admirers of the poet from all over the world. But actually, he only lived there for periods of no longer than a few months at a time, over some 4 years. Instead, the adolescent Byron shared with his mother a series of more practical and, one hopes, more comfortable temporary homes in and around Nottinghamshire. And the longest settled period during this phase of his life, of Byron's life, was term time during his 5 years as a boarder at Harrow School. That was 1801 to 1805. After Harrow came Trinity College, Cambridge. He left there after just over 2 years without taking his degree at the end of 1807. As a result of all this, Byron was just 21 years old. You might want to think of him as a kind of gap year student when he set foot in Greece for the first time. The year was 1809, the month September. He had set out with his friend from Cambridge, the future Member of Parliament, John Cam Hobhouse, on a version of what the English had, in English had become known by this time as the Grand Tour. Their way took them first to Portugal, Spain, and the British naval stations of Gibraltar and Malta. After that, much the greater part of the trip was spent in the provinces of the Ottoman Empire that Europeans loosely called Greece, though at the time, of course, Greece didn't exist as a political entity on the map at all. The dotted line on the map, this was drawn by a sailor, Lord Strathcarron, who recreated the trip in his own yacht. And the dotted line just shows where he went by sea, but he's put the names up on the left-hand side of the Greek mainland, which show the places that Byron actually went to. What excited Byron first was the exotic landscape of northwestern Greece and today's Albania. He wrote, "The scene was savage, but the scene was new," in the poem that he began writing on these travels, Childe Harold's Pilgrimage. It was a primitive, raw newness of this world that first caught the imagination of the 21-year-old Byron. And it was in the wilds of northwest Greece and Albania that he exulted in being lost in a thunderstorm in the middle of the night in the vicinity of the monastery of Zitza, where today the fizzy wine comes from. He was rescued from shipwreck by the famously rugged Suliots when he was cast ashore with Hobhouse on their shore. And to the end of his life, Byron would retain a deep affection and gratitude to these wild villagers, tribesmen of northwest Greece, the Suliotes. Later on, at Tepeleni in today's Albania, he was at once thrilled and horrified by the man he called the Muslim Buonaparte, the fearsome Ali Pasha of Ioannina. It wasn't until December, we're still in the year 1809, that Byron for the first time came face to face with ancient Greece. The travellers, Byron and Hobhouse, came ashore at the tiny harbour and customs post on the site of modern and ancient Itea. From there, the ride through the forest of olive trees, as Hobhouse described it, towards the ancient sanctuary of Delphi on the flank of Mount Parnassus, impressed even the undoubtedly more prosaic Hobhouse as, quote, very romantic. Byron did a bit better than that. He had already begun writing Childe Harold's Pilgrimage in Ioannina the month before, and while he was staying there, he translated his impressions at once into verse. O thou Parnassus, whom I now survey, not in the frenzy of a dreamer's eye, not in the fabled landscape of a lay, but soaring, snow-clad through thy native sky in the wild pomp of mountain majesty. At the site of Delphi itself, there was little to be seen of the ancient ruins. At this time, they had not yet been excavated. And so it wasn't until Christmas Day, 1809, that Byron and Hobhouse reached Athens and had their first close encounter with the physical remains of Greek antiquity. And as you can see from that slide, which dates from the period, the Acropolis of Athens has changed almost out of recognition since Byron's time. Byron's attitude to the ruins of the ancient past were ambivalent at best, but that's another story. In these lands and where the arts of civilization had once been born, Byron met Greeks, not voices from the past, but living Greeks of his own time. And he heard from them about the hopes of a subject people for liberation from their Ottoman masters. In Athens, during the autumn and winter of 1810 to 1811, Byron made a very serious attempt to come to grips with the political realities of the lands that he was travelling through. He was living at this time at the Capuchin monastery that used to occupy what is now Lysikratou Square in Plaka. And you can just see the Lysikrates Korygic monument built into the fabric of the religious building. While he was there, he wrote up his ideas in a series of notes that would be published with Childe Harold in 1812. But his conclusion was dismissive and rather ironic in view of what happened later. He wrote, "The Greeks will never be independent. They will never be sovereigns as heretofore, and God forbid they ever should. To talk, as the Greeks themselves do, of their rising again to their pristine superiority would be ridiculous, as the rest of the world must resume its barbarism after reasserting the sovereignty of Greece. We can trust Byron, who if nothing else had a great sense of humour, to take an argument to its logically absurd conclusion. At the end of those travels, in 1811, he came back to England. Byron abandoned those youthful researches without finding the answer to the questions he was asking himself. He still had a long way to travel. After that came Byron's years of fame, as they've been known ever since, in London, here. His years spent as a Regency dandy, frequenting the houses of the great and good, the years of celebrity and scandal. And it's often been said in modern studies that actually Byron was really the first modern celebrity, the whole sort of cult of celebrity, the whole idea of what we now call celebrity really begins with Byron here in Regency London in the 1810s. After the disastrous failure of his marriage to Annabella Milbank and the birth of their daughter, the future mathematician Ada Lovelace, Byron left England for the second time in April 1816. This time he travelled via Switzerland to Italy, and there he would remain for the next 7 years, though still constantly on the move, living first in Venice, then in Ravenna, Pisa, and finally in Genoa. Thank you. In Italy, Byron the poet found a new voice. His years in Italy saw the creation of his mock-epic masterpiece, Don Juan. At the same time, Byron the man toyed with the possibility of a new vocation, political commitment to a revolutionary cause. By the spring of 1823, he was beginning to think of a new departure. More often than not, this was linked again to revolutionary politics. In letters and conversations, he threw out suggestions of possible future destinations: Spain, Greece, the United States, South America, or even Australia. It was then called Van Diemen's Land. In the event, and for reasons that were not clear to friends or acquaintances at the time and have puzzled biographers ever since, it was to be Greece. Revolution against the ruling Ottoman Empire had broken out in Greece, as I'm sure everyone here is very familiar with this story, in March 1821. But from then until the spring of 1823, Byron kept stum. He said very little in public about events in Greece, and so far as we can tell, he had pretty little to say in private either. And that's all the more surprising, since the Greek Revolution was the talk of the whole of Europe. Greece and its people had been linked to Byron's name, again, throughout the whole of Europe, ever since the spectacular success of the first 2 cantos of Childe Harold's Pilgrimage in 1812. Finally, in March 1823, a group of liberal-minded parliamentarians in England came together to form the London Greek Committee. This was a pressure group in support of the Greeks, and they met actually it was called an inn or a pub, it's a public house. That's a picture of it. So it wasn't exactly an ordinary pub, but it was actually 2 blocks away from here, just down the Strand, towards Fleet Street, long gone, of course, swallowed up by 1960s concrete. But they met very close to this spot in March 1823. And one of the first acts of the newly created London Greek Committee was to invite Lord Byron to become a member and lend his name to the cause. Nobody expected him to do more than that. The committee's emissaries, sent to sound him out in Genoa, where he was living, were completely taken by surprise when Byron immediately declared his intention of going to Greece himself and taking an active part in the struggle. Byron in 1823 was a very different man from the author of Childe Harold's Pilgrimage, who had had himself painted in the local costume that he had bought in Ioannina at the age of 25, 22. 10 years, well, the painter, he was 25 when he was painted, sorry, 21 when he bought the costume. 10 years later, he presented a very different appearance. That line drawing by Alfred Dorset, so far as we can tell, was drawn from life in May 1823 in Genoa. He had aged, as you can see, but he made the decision in June 1823. He had a military uniform made and 3 ceremonial helmets, one for himself and 2 for two of his companions, designed in what passed at the time for Homeric style. Byron sailed from the port of Genoa on a ship specially chartered for the purpose on the 16th of July 1823. On the way, he stopped off for 5 months in Kefalonia, in the Ionian Islands, which at the time were under British rule. There, Byron was close enough to the conflict in Greece, mainland Greece, to find out what was really going on, but without, for the time being, committing himself to any of the rival factions among the Greek leadership. As soon as he had acquired the knowledge that he needed and made his decision, he took ship once more. On the 5th of January 1824, he went ashore in Messalongi. You've already seen this image a number of times already this evening, and I'm sure it will be seen many times more in the course of the anniversary year of 2024. This was, at the time, it was the principal town in western Greece. It was also the headquarters of one of the most far-sighted political leaders of revolutionary Greece, Alexandros Mavrokordatos, the man looking rather austere and out of place in a European frock coat, and if you look closely at his left hand, he's actually taken off his top hat. Byron, by this time, had developed a very modern understanding of the power of, believe it or not, economics in the affairs of nations. Tirelessly, he worked with Mavrokordatos to secure funds and to develop the rudiments of an economic policy for Greece. Diplomacy and recognition by foreign powers would be essential too. In both these spheres, Byron's name acted as a magnet. And at the time when he died, the first instalment of a promised £800,000 sterling, equivalent to something like 36 million today, raised from private subscribers in London, was on its way to the Greek government. By comparison, a cheque for the Byron statue in Hyde Park will be a mere snip. But then Byron died, tragically, accidentally and unheroically, of fever at Missolonghi on the 19th of April 1824. This painting, made in 1826, shows how quickly afterwards the event had become a romantic legend. The reality, obviously, can have been nothing like this. Ever since, Byron has been remembered in Greece as a hero. And the fact that the most famous Englishman of his day died in Greece, in the service of the Greek cause, undoubtedly did much to influence the current of opinion in Europe in favour of Greece. But while he was alive, Byron's true contribution to the independence of Greece lay rather in helping to internationalise the Greek cause, to turn the local revolution in Greece into a turning point in what the historian Mark Mazur has recently called the making of modern Europe. To conclude, Byron's body returned to England in May 1820. It set out for England in May 1824. Ironically enough, on the same ship that had brought out from London the first tranche of the loan that had been raised, partly in his name, to aid the Greek provisional government. As his biographer Fiona McCarthy describes it, I quote, To preserve Byron's body for the voyage, holes had been bored through the layers of wood and tin, and the coffin set in a larger outer cask containing 180 gallons of spirits. Well, there, with apologies, is your barrel of rum. In this manner, George Gordon Noel Byron, as he was now known, returned to his starting point. In July, huge crowds turned out to watch his funeral procession make its way through central London. On his way to his final resting place in Hucknall Church, in his ancestral Nottinghamshire, Byron's cortege passed along Oxford Street, close to the spot where he had been born 36 and a half years before. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Beaton. I feel we go into the Byron year with all the knowledge we needed to have and all the refreshers we needed. Thank you so much. You've also done a great job of demystifying certain aspects about Byron. I want to make it to Missolonghi myself. I've never been, to my great shame. Also, special thanks, Ambassador Yanis Tsaousis, for joining us. I'm very glad you could make time in your busy schedule to be with us. Thank you. And now we switch to the second main component of our evening, which is a documentary made by Ms. Kyriaki Mitsu. And the title is From Missolonghi to London. So we take the reverse direction, 200 years later, with a focus on diaspora professional Greeks living among us who have been inspired by Byron, but who also made a life in London. Kyriaki has done the hard work, but she extends special thanks to the participants, Thanasis Gavos, Spiros Kitsinellis, and Menelaos Danelis Vulgaris. Thank you.
Γεια σας. Ονομάζομαι Την Κυριακή, κατάγομαι από το Βασιλείου και τα τελευταία 8 χρόνια ζω στο Λονδίνο.
Ονομάζομαι Σπύριο Παπαγιώτης, κατάγομαι από το Μεσολόγγι. Βρίσκομαι στο Λονδίνο τα τελευταία 4,5 χρόνια.
Ονομάζομαι Menelaos Vulgaris, με καταγωγή από το Μεσολόγγι.
Λοιπόν, είμαι Θανάσης Γαβός και εργάζομαι εδώ ως δημοσιογράφος. Είμαι σχεδόν 23 χρόνια στο Λονδίνο. Έχω καταγωγή από τα μέλη μας. Η μητέρα μου είναι από ένα πρωτόκολλο στο Μεσολόγγι καταγωγή, με αρκετά μεγάλη οικογένεια στην περιοχή και στο Μεσολόγγι και στα Παιδιά. Και επειδή δεν είναι πάντα, δεν είναι σύγχρονο το φαινόμενο να κάνουμε να μιλήσω λίγο το πράγμα που να κάνουμε την καταγωγή, μου άρεσε πάρα πολύ αυτή η ιδέα.
Υπάρχουν άνθρωποι που το πέρασμά τους σε αυτή τη ζωή αφήνει ανεξίτηλο σημάδι στην ιστορία, στις πόλεις και στους ανθρώπους. Ένα τέτοιο σημάδι άφησε και ο George Gordon Byron στην πόλη του Μεσολογγίου και τους ανθρώπους της, τόσο με τη ζωή του, όσο και με τον θάνατό του. Byron έφτασε στον τόπο μας στις 4 Ιανουαρίου του 1824 και οι πρόγονοι μας σε υποδέχτηκαν σαν βασιλιά, σαν σωτήρα. Σε υποδέχτηκαν με θέρμη, με ενθουσιασμό, με προσδοκία και στο πρόσωπό σου έγραφαν την ελπίδα. Σήμερα, 200 χρόνια μετά, εμείς οι Μεσολογγίτες ζούμε στη δική σου πατρίδα. Πατάμε τα χώματα της δικής σου πόλης και ακολουθούμε τα βήματά σου στους δικούς σου αγαπημένους τόπους της νεότητάς σου. Έπρεπε να ζήσουν οι προπαπούδες μας, οι προπαπούδες μας, οι προπαπούδες μας, οι παππούδες μας, οι γονείς μας, κάπου 6 γενιές πίσω δηλαδή, για να βρεθούμε εμείς να ζούμε σήμερα στη δική σου χώρα. Όμως το παιδί θα ήσουν όταν θα περιδιάβαινες τούτους τους δρόμους που δύσκολα θυμίζουν τα χρόνια τα δικά σου. Όμως, το σχολείο, η εκκλησία, και το δικό σου μοναδικό σημείο φυγής και καταφυγής είναι ακόμα εδώ. Ποιος ξέρει άραγε αν σε γυρνά καμιά φορά τριγύρω η ψυχή σου και θυμάται τα γέλια και τις χαρές νεαρών παιδιών, τους πρώτους έρωτες και τα πρώτα όνειρα. Σήμερα είμαστε κι εμείς εδώ και βλέπουμε αυτά που έβλεπαν τα μάτια σου. Ατενίζουμε την ίδια θέα, πηγή της πρώιμης έμπνευσής σου. Θα το φανταζόσουν ποτέ? Είναι άραγε πολλά τα 200 χρόνια στην αιωνιότητα του χρόνου? Μπορούν να συνδεθούν ακόμα οι άνθρωποι μέσα στο διάβα τόσο χρόνο, ή μήπως η κλωστή αυτή που τους συνδέει έχει φανθεί τόσο πολύ στο πέρασμά του που δεν αντέχει και σπάει?
Είμαστε τώρα εμείς οι τρεις προσυλλογητές 200 χρόνια μετά το θάνατό του και ζούμε στο Ηνωμένο και είμαστε τώρα σε έναν τόπο που εκείνος έζησε, ερχόταν εδώ για πολλά χρόνια, το σημείο έγινε αυτή την ιδέα, αισθάνεσαι κάποια σύνδεση. Είναι πολλά τα 200 χρόνια.
Είναι πολλά τα 200 χρόνια, αλλά ο τόπος εδώ έχει μια ενέργεια, είναι λίγο μαγικό να δεις τις επιστολίες. Όπως βλέπουμε την Λάρκο, έγραψε κάποιος στα πρώτα. Είναι μια χώρα που δεν μας συνδέει κάτι. Και μόνο που μπορεί να πατήσει τα βήματα αυτού του ανθρώπου, ο οποίος συνδέει το καταγωγή μας, είναι το σημείο εντάξει πάρα πολύ ωραίο. Τα 200 χρόνια όμως είναι αρκετά όμως. Αλλά αν το δεις λίγο πιο ρομαντικά για το κομμάτι της ιστορίας, σίγουρα μας συνδέει με αυτόν τον τόπο. Χρειάζεται μια ιδιαίτερη σχέση που ακολουθήσει μια ξένη που μας συνδέει κάτι. Ευχαριστώ.
Μια παράσταση. Και η αλήθεια είναι ότι τότε σκέφτηκα ότι αν κάποιοι άνθρωποι δεν είχαν έρθει στον τόπο μας, δεν είχαν ακόμα αφιερώσει τη ζωή τους, δεν είχαν βοηθήσει, γιατί θεωρώ ότι θέλω να τονίσει πολύ περισσότερο την ελληνική επανάσταση και όλη αυτή την έκταση που πήρε. Εμείς πρέπει να υπάρχουμε εδώ, με 200 χρόνια μετά, σε εδώ.
Μπορεί, δεν είναι μια γλώσσα.
Και δεν είναι μια γλώσσα. Έτσι, να μιλάμε σαν άλλη γλώσσα.
Σίγουρα.
Να μην έχει κάτι άλλο.
Σίγουρα, δεν ήταν τέτοια προσωπικά.
Ο Λόρδος Βύρων. Θα σου πω, θυμάμαι πάρα πολύ έντονα, μικρός, αρχές δημιουργίας μου, που αρχίσαμε και διαβάζαμε τα σχολικά μυθιστορήματα και λειτουργία. Είχα ένα μύρο στο μυαλό μου ή από ταινίες, τηλεόραση, ιστορίες, ότι είχε ένας μεγάλος ήρωας ο Βασιλιάς αυτός και ο δεύτερος μεγάλος ήρωας της Ίδρυσης του Ηνωμένου ήταν ο Λόρδος Βύρων. Ως ένα υπότιτλο φανταζόμουν, μικρός ήρωας.
Ο Λόρδος Βύρωνα είναι μία μορφή η οποία υπάρχει στο ψυχολόγοι, σε ιστορίες, σε αφηγήσεις, σε εικόνες που βλέπουμε μπροστά μας. Είναι μία μορφή ένας φιλέλληνας, από τους πρώτους μεγάλους φιλέλληνες, και ένας άνθρωπος ο οποίος έδωσε τη ζωή του ουσιαστικά για την Επανάσταση και για τον σκοπό τον οποίο πίστεψε για την ελευθερία του Ελλήνου και ίσως να μην είναι αν δεν είναι η
Από μικρός, τον Βύρωνα τον γνώριζα ως έναν ήρωα μεσολογίτη. Έναν άνθρωπο ο οποίος μπαίνοντας στην των ηρώων τον έβλεπε το άγραμμά του, αλλά ο Βύρωνας ήταν πάντα ένα κομμάτι της ιστορικής παράδοσης. Όπως επίσης, κάνοντας παράδειγμα παιδιά του μεσολόγοι, ήξερα από τον γιο της κυρίας Γεωργίας του Βύρωνα και καταλάβαμε ότι ο Βύρωνας είναι ένα κομμάτι της πόλης. Είναι ένας άνθρωπος ο οποίος έζησε την πολέμηση στην πόλη και μου φαίνονταν πάρα πολύ φυσιολογικό.
Και είναι προσωπικό ότι όταν ήρθα εδώ σε μια αρκετά νωρίς και σε κάθε συζήτηση με κάποιους Βρετανούς μεσοδουλειάς ανέφερα μεσολόγοι ότι ήσταν την παράδοση σαν να λέω πράγμα. Πολύ, αισθάνθηκα πάρα πολύ ωραία αυτός που είχα δει έναν τρόπο, αν θες να προσεγγίσω και αυτό το νέο λαό που πρέπει να συμβιώσει στο λόγο μας.
Η κλασική ιστορία που νομίζω όλοι οι Έλληνες έχουν βιώσει στο εσωτερικό είναι, γνωρίζεις κάποιον Άγγλο στην προκειμένη περίπτωση στην Αγγλία, για πως λέγεσαι Μενέλαος, από πού είσαι Μενέλα, από την Ελλάδα. Α, έχω πάει στην Ελλάδα. Από ποια περιοχή της Ελλάδας είσαι? Και μετά, όταν αναφέρω πάντα το μεσολόγιο, η απάντηση είναι πού είναι αυτό? Και εκεί πέρα είναι που πάντα ο Λόρδος Βύρωνας με βγάζει τη δύσκολη θέση, λέγοντας είναι το μέρος στο οποίο πέθανε ο Λόρδος Βύρωνας. Και όλοι αυτό να τους κάνουν, α, ναι, σίγουρα, ξέρω τον αυτό.
My Lord, έζησες στο Μεσολόγγι για λιγότερο από 4 μήνες και άφησες την τελευταία σου πνοή σε αυτή την πόλη στις 19 Τετάρτου του 1824, συνδέοντας μια για πάντα άρρηκτα τη μοίρα της πόλης του Μεσολογγίου με το όνομά σου.
Έλληνες, αλλά ειδικά στους μουσολογίτες, θεωρώ ότι είναι μέσα μας. Έτσι, μπορεί να είναι ένας άνθρωπος που θα να μην πει στη γλώσσα, να μην δείτε την χαρακτήρα ή την αντίληψη του τι είναι να είσαι μουσολογίτης Έλληνας, αλλά είναι ένας άνθρωπος που θα νιώθουμε έτσι. Οπότε και θεωρώ και φαντάζομαι πολλοί κόσμοι ακόμα ότι είναι ένα κομμάτι της ρήγας μας. Είναι ένα κομμάτι της πόλης μας σίγουρα. Και το όλο θέμα για μένα προσωπικά είναι ότι προσπαθώ επειδή ήταν το εσωτερικό να κρατάω μια ανοιχτή πόρτα και μια σύνδεση με τις ρίζες της Έλληνας. Οπότε για μένα ήταν το πρόβλημα του χρέους μας.
Ερχόμενος εδώ, καταρχήν ο Πολιτισμού, και πάλι από όλους τους μουσουλόγοι και προσπαθώντας να κράτος ενδυνάμωση, συνειδητοποίησα ότι ως μεσολογίτης οφείλω να του οφείλω κάτι, την έννοια ότι είναι αυτός εν τέλει δικαίος ή αδίκος. Τότε μέσα στην ιστορία είχα καταγραφεί εντός ο άνθρωπος που έκανε προσωπική αυτό το σύμβολο ελευθερίας, γενναιότητας, εν πάση περιπτώσει που είναι. Εγώ είχα στο μυαλό μου ότι ο Λόρδος Βύρων είναι γνωστός σε όλο τον κόσμο λόγω του προσώπου. Οπότε όταν ήρθα εδώ και συνειδητοποίησα τι σημαίνει ο Λόρδος Βύρων για τους Άγγλους, χώρικος, ως ο Μαθητός του Υγιής μας δώσει και μία από τις μεγαλύτερες φυσιογνωμίες και το έχει συγκεκριμένες και να αποτελεί τότε, ξέρεις, τελικά τους πόρτους και αυτός στο μυαλό μου, δεν είμαστε συνδεδεμένος, διότι ήταν ελληνικό, και δεν έχεις ένας τέτοιος άνθρωπος που θα μπορούσε να τον δουλεύει να σε γνώσει, να μείνει εκεί, να μην ασχέσει το κοινωνικό του και να μην είναι αλλά και τότε το προσωπικό. Ήταν προφανέστατα ο κόσμος του φιλελληνισμού, έτσι. Οπότε και γενικότερα ως Έλληνες του προστάμε κατά το πώς είμαστε αντιμετωπίσαν όσοι τελειώνουν μας βοήθησαν.
Εμείς εδώ οι μουσουλογίτες, ευχαριστώ.
Σίγουρα, από την αφοσίωση.
Έπρεπε να τιμήσεις, νομίζω ότι εγώ έτσι δεν φάνηκε σήμερα αυτό που κάναμε, σαν ένα φόρο τιμής προσεκτικά αυτό το μεγάλο φιλέλληνα, που ήθελα το όκυρο ελάχιστο που μπορούμε να κάνουμε σε αυτό που ετοίμασε για την πατρίδα μας και για τον πολύ μικρό μας κατασκευαστικό του Μεσογειώτη. Σας ευχαριστώ πολύ.
Εμείς οι μεσολογίτες αφήνουμε το βλέμμα να χαθεί στην απεραντουσία του τόπου και του χρόνου με βαθιά ευγνωμοσύνη.
While we fix the setup, I can introduce a third part, a third component of our evening. But first, a warmest thanks to all the participants in this documentary who really make us feel that Byron speaks to newer and younger generations. Quite exciting. Miss Kyriaki Mitsu also treats us to a performance work in progress that she calls Manfred Echoes. It is inspired by Byron's Manfred, of course. And the team with whom she's worked, the cast, consists of the following people. Vasilia Kenanoglu is an actress, singer, and cellist. Konstantinos Delidimoudis is also an actor. And Thodoris Papadimitriou is an awarded composer, conductor, cellist, and pianist. Also, behind me, on a loop, you will see images. They come from a collection called Onda que mi Onda, to be or not to be. And they have been produced by Andonis Koutroumbis. He's a producer, performer, and graphic artist who's given us generous permission to use the images. It will take us a few minutes to set up, so bear with us. Thank you.
Inaccessible are haunts, earths and oceans, caves, familiar things. I call upon you by the wicked charm which gives me power upon you. Rise, appear! Forgetfulness. Of that which is within me. Read it there, you know it and I cannot utter it. Oblivion. Self-oblivion. Can you not ring from out the hidden realms he offers so profusely? What? I ask. You mock me, but the power which brought you here hath made you mine. Slaves, scoff not at my will. The mind, the spirit, the promedian spark, the lightning of my being is as bright, pervading, and far darting as your own, and shall not yield to yours, though proved in clay. Answer, or I will teach you what I am. No, none. Yet stay, one moment that we part. I would behold your face to face. I hear your voices, sweet and melancholy sounds, as music waters, and I see the steady aspect of a great large star, but nothing more. Approach me as you are, or one, or all in your accustomed forms. I have no choice. There is no form on earth hideous so beautiful to me. Let him who is most powerful here take such aspect, as not that he may seem most fitting. Come!
τέλος, επανάληψη και πάλι από την αρχή, απαγόρευση, απογοήτευση, απομόνωση, εγκλεισμός, φυλακή, κλείσιμο, μοναξιά, αδιέξοδο, τείχος, απελπισία, παύση, σιωπή, σκοτάδι, τέλος, επανάληψη και πάλι από την αρχή.
Spirits I have raised abandon me. The spell which I have studied baffled me. The remedy I reckon forged me, I lean no more on superhuman aid. It hath no power upon the past, and for the future, till the past be governed in darkness, it is not of my search. My mother earth, and thou fresh breaking day, and you, ye mountains, why are you so beautiful? I cannot love you, and thou the bright eye of the universe that openest over all, unto all hours of delight, thou shinest not on my heart. And you, the crags, upon whose extreme edge I stand, and on the torrent's brink beneath, behold the tall pines dwindled as the shrubs in distance of distance, when a leap, a stir, a motion, even a breath would bring upon my breast upon its rocky bosom's bed to rest forever. Wherefore do I pause? I feel the impulse, yet I do not plunge. I see the peril, yet do not recede. And my brain reels, and yet my foot is firm. There is a power upon me which withholds, and makes it my fatality to live. If it be life to wear within myself this fairness of spirit, and to be my own soul's sepulchre, for I have ceased to justify my deeds unto myself, the last infirmity of evil. Aye, thou wind and cloud-living minister. The thirst of their ambition was not mine. The aim of their existence was not mine. My joys, my griefs, my passions, and my powers made me a stranger, though I wore the form. I had no sympathy with breathing flesh, nor with the creatures of clay that girded me. Daughter of air, I tell thee since that hour when words are bred, look at me in my sleep or watch my watchings. Come and sit by me. My solitude is solitude no more, but people with the furies. I have gnashed my teeth in darkness the returning morn, then cursed myself till sunset. I have prayed for madness of the blessed. I have affronted death, but in all the pitiless demon held me back by a single pair which would not break. In fantasy, imagination, all the affluence of my soul, which one day was the greatest in creation, I plunged deep but like an heavy wave, dashed back into the gulf of my unfathomable thought. I plunged with one hand. Forgetfulness I sought to know. Say what is to be found, that I have to learn. My sciences, my long pursuit of superhuman art, is mortal here. I dwell in my despair and live forever. To do this thy power must wake the dead, or lay me low with them. Do so in any shape, in any hour, with any torture, so it be the last. I will not swear. Obey. To whom? The spirits whose presence I command. Will be the slave of those who serve me? Never! Leave! We are the fools of time and terror. They steal on us and steal from us, yet we live, loathing our life and dreading still to die. In all the days of this tested yoke, this vital weight upon the struggling heart, which sinks with sorrow or beats quick with pain, or joy that ends in agony or faintness, in all the days of past and future, for in life there is no present, we can number how few, how less than few, wherein the soul forbears to pant for death, and yet draws back as from a stream in winter, though the chill be but a moment. I have one resource. Still in my science I can call the dead, and ask them what it is we dread to be. The sternest answer can be but the grave, and that is nothing if they answer not. That which I love will still be beautiful, happy in giving happiness. What is she? What is she now? A sufferer for my sins? A thing I dare not think upon? Or nothing? Within few hours I shall not call in vain, yet in this hour I dread the thing I dare. Until this hour I never shrunk to gaze on spirit, good or evil. Now I tremble and feel a strange cold though upon my heart. But I can act even what I most abhor and champion human fears. The night approaches. grave hath not changed thee more than I am changed to thee. Thou lovest me too much as I love thee. We were not made to torture each other, though it were the deadliest sin to love as we have done. Say that thou lovest me not, that I bear this punishment for both, that thou wilt be the one of the blessed, and that I shall die. For heaven how all things conspire to bind me in existence, in the life which makes me shrink from immortality. The future, like the past, I cannot rest. I know not what to ask, nor what I see. I feel but what thou art and what I am. And I would hear yet once more before I perish the voice which was my music. Speak to me. For I have called and been the still night, startled the slumbering birds from their husk thoughts, and walked the mountain hooves, and made the caves acquainted with our vain echoed name, which answered me. Many things answered me, spirits and men, but thou art silent all. Yet speak to me. Speak to me. I have wandered the earth and never found thy likeness. Speak to me. Look on the fields around me, feel for me. I feel them not and feel for thee alone. Speak to me. Though it be in wrath, but say, I reck not what, but let me hear thee once, this once more. One word for mercy, say thou lovest me. Inexplicable stillness, which till now did not belong to where I knew of life. If that I did not know philosophy to be of all our vanities the motliest, the merest word that ever fooled the ear from out the schoolman's jargon, I should deem the golden secret, the sort of Callan found and seated in my soul. It will not last, but it is well to have known it, thou but once. It hath enlarged my thoughts with a new sense, and I within my tablets would note down that there is such a feeling. Thou false fiend, thou liest. My life is in its last hour, that I know. No will redeem a moment of that hour. I do not combat against death, but being thy surrounding angels. My past power was purchased by no combat in thy group, but by superior science, penance, daring, and length of washing, strength of mind, and skill and knowledge of our fathers. When the earth saw men and spirits walking side by side, and gave yet no supremacy. I stand upon my strength. I do defy, deny, spurn back, and scorn them. But what are they such as thee? Must crimes be punished by equal crimes, and greater criminals? Back to thy hell! Thou hast no power upon me, that I feel. Thou never shalt possess me, that I know. What I have done is done. I bear within a torture which could nothing gain from thine. The mind, which is immortal, makes itself replicable for its good or evil thoughts. Is its own origin of ill and end, and its own place in time, its innate sense, when stripped of this mortality, derives no colour from the fleeting things without, but is absorbed in sufferance or in joy, born from the knowledge of its own secret. Thou didst not tempt me, and wouldst not tempt me. I have not been thy Jew, nor am I thy prey, but was my own destroyer, and will be my own hereafter. Back, you baffled fiends! The hand of death is on me, but not yours. It's not so difficult to die.
Thank you so much. It has been a really pleasure working with you, all of you guys. Vasilia, Thodoris, Konstantinos. I have to say that Vasilia and Thodoris are coming from Thessaloniki and Athens. We worked through Zoom, and then they came here to present their own performance, which is also tomorrow, Sunday at the Union Theatre. And at 5 o'clock. So if you want to see their own performance, please do go to their show. And a special thanks to Konstantinos, with whom we have worked in the past as well. So thank you so much, guys, and thank you so much for that. Also, I would like to thank our embassy for their support and the great cooperation we have so far. Our ambassador in the United Kingdom, Mr. Yannis Traousis, and Stavroula Metaxa. I would like to thank very much my dear friend and colleague, George Sotiropoulos. I should have gone to the thanks. This is why you're looking at me. Perfect. Yeah. Well, yeah, not my strong point. So I would like to thank very much my dear friend and colleague, George Sotiropoulos. George has been working really hard for this event for several weeks. Moreover, I would like to thank Spiros Kitsinellis. You saw him also on the video for his lovely posters for the event. I would like to thank Sofia Christina Delatola for the PowerPoint presentation, Michael Arapis for the text editing and content creating, Levki Papaharalambous for her special help and support as she is our volunteer advisor, and Angela Osmenay that you all met at the reception desk when entering in the building. At this moment, I would like to say thank you to all our media sponsors, Augoustinos Galiasos, Greek List, LGR, Vasilia Christodoulou, Hellenic Post, Iphistos Vien, Natasha Vissarionos, Earth News, Antenna, who is over here with us tonight, and Isaac Aripidis, Thanos Gavos, of course, and Menelaos as well. Menelaos is not the media sponsor, but I just remembered that I haven't thanked Menelaos for the documentary, so special thanks to Menelaos as well. And of course, thanks to all of you that have been here tonight, and we really honor your support. Thank you so much, and it's time for Krasaki, as Gonda says. Thank you so much.